Dad Pod?
Just a video thing as well.
Does have a name?
Podcast?
Midlife crisis.
Paddy Daddy.
Midlife crisis.
DADCAST?
That's not bad, actually, yeah.
And you're very welcome along to episode 16 of the DADCAST. No Dave McIntyre this week, so we've replaced him with a world champion, Andy Lee. You're very welcome.
Yeah, the gun show's back.
You did. You
I know that stage thing, so just...
You're wearing a coat though and a shirt. If you were really replacing him, you'd be wearing the tightest possible t-shirt.
Yeah, I actually don't have the guns anymore. I am into my dad bod now, so...
Tell me about it.
It's a very relaxing period of a man's life, though, right?
I'm settling into it nicely.
Yeah, make an accommodation with the fact that it doesn't really matter anymore.
I know, yeah. Although, like, my ego is hurting, but I'm also, like, finding the motivation to match my vanity and my ego. They're just not, in terms of, and as well as, battling with the sleep depression and, I got an hour here to myself. Do I actually go to the gym and work hard, or do I just go upstairs and just conk it out?
We know the answer to that. It's lie down. That's the right thing to do, no?
That's the balance. But coming to the end of that, hopefully. My daughter, she's 19 months old now. And she started crash a few months ago, so she goes from like 9 in the morning to 12:30 p.m. And so that gives her a bit more freedom now. And
sleep and gym is what I'm hearing there. 3.5 hours is a...
Yeah.
It's about 3.5 hours is a lovely time to have enough time on your own and then be wanting to see them afterwards.
Yeah, and then get a big hug when they meet you, so that's always nice, yeah.
Was it traumatic, that whole crash? Because first time.
And only last week she went into a new class. She moved up in an age, and a few tears and like, don't leave, daddy, whimpers and crying and holding onto your leg.
You're kicking her off.
Come on. You're eating into my time. So... no, but it's good. But you guys know more than me. It's a challenge, but it's so rewarding as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Andy, just from the top, I don't know how familiar you are with DADCAST, but negativity would be, that's really this positive stuff is not going to wash around here.
How it really is. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
We've had great intentions to come around to. In fact, one episode, I think McIntyre started off with, right, we've had enough of negative conversations, let's get into sort of just how amazing it is to be a parent. Now, we did that for about 30 seconds before we slipped back into how tough things are.
So you have
kids?
Three.
Two. Yeah.
And one, yeah.
Oh, so it's happy.
Don't know how easy you have it.
The worst thing, we had a whole episode where Nathan told stories about getting given out to by old women who didn't appreciate his parenting. There's nothing worse than a parent who has more kids than you, though. The patronising that you get from like, well, you've got it so easy now, you've only got one. I remember when he had one, I was like, shut up. You're lying to me. And then now I realise that, like, I did have it. One is great.
That's how I feel every week, talking to you, patronised by you having 3 kids.
It's actually not great, because I would say that the bomb goes off when you have 1, and then 2 is kind of like that same bomb, you're still dealing with the wreckage, you're just kind of trying to put the buildings back together, and then the 3rd one, the bomb goes off again. That's how... You seem to be getting away with it.
Why? In what way?
Well, you seem to think that...
Oh, the 3rd is quite
you're already...
She's definitely the... easiest of the 3. No, it's a one-way conversation, Ger. I can assure you of that. The talk of a 4th. The first 2 was definitely a bomb because it was 15 months between them, so it was. It was like one continuous.
Yeah. It's like one of those that bombing campaign where the first bomb goes off and the second one goes off straight away immediately afterwards.
Shock and awe.
The proper
when
terrorists.
Least expected. They won't be ready for it.
Yeah, it's very much when we least expected it.
Yeah.
Whereas this child is now she is teething. She's teething at the moment, so there's a little bit of...
Forget about the teething and the nappies.
She went to bed the last night at about 11 o'clock, and about 10 o'clock, and we went up at 11, and she was still awake, and for an hour solid, she started, sort of, what is it they call it, raspberrying? Where they spit? So she's literally an hour non-stop going... all over us.
Right.
All over herself, all over the bed. Disaster. That was as bad as it got for me this week.
Well, that's all right. That's not too bad.
Our fella's been teething for like a year and a half. It's like it just seems to be a constant thing. Like it's always something. Like wailing in the middle of the night in a way that we're not sure, is he having nightmares or is he still teething, but then the old poos are...
Teether works a bit.
Bad shits.
Away, yeah, bad shits.
Teether definitely works a bit.
The what?
The teether granules, you rub them into the gum.
Right, I
mean, it might be...
Sweet too, they like a little treat.
Bite your finger off. It's the only thing with that.
Yeah, well...
Actually, but
yeah. And then hold on to it.
But thinks it's great crack.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose it is. So a couple of emails this week. DADCAST@offtheball.com for your emails. I need to read these before I give out names after a blunder last week. I will protect your anonymity if you ask me to, but if you don't ask me to expressly, you can't expect me to remember to. That's all. You're forewarned is forearmed.
Put it in the first line.
Exactly. Anonymous. Keep emailing us though, dadcast@offtheball.com. First of all, thanks a million for the double drop of podcasts yesterday. The timing could not have been better, as I've been awake since just before 5 as a result of the pregnancy snoring. The struggle is real. I'm trying to look for the positives, like, hey, maybe it's helping prepare me for actually having a baby, but it's hard. We're due our first baby in 10 days, but we have 2 dogs. Have any of you guys ever had a baby while also owning pets? Any advice? Bear in mind, these are the type of dogs who sleep on the couch, eat cheese sandwiches, and wear Christmas jumpers. Good practice for your children.
Christ.
Keep up the good work, says Brian. We can definitely give you your name, Brian. And it's Brian Kelly, if your missus is listening, about the pregnancy snoring. So there was an incident where Adrian revealed that his wife had unbelievably bad pregnancy snoring, where the whole house shook. And then,
Shocking.
And then he had to deny that he'd told us this.
It's overstated, Andy. Ultimately, there was a loose conversation at one point about pregnancy snoring, and I mean, I may or may not have said things that were exaggerating the scenario, which I've generally sort of
in the fullness of time you've realised how wrong you were.
State that I overstated that, and actually my wife is, I think, an absolute angel incarnate.
She's also an avid listener to the
Avid.
Certainly her friends who warned her about the fact that Adrian was spilling the family secrets.
Every week threatens to download it.
About her snoring in particular. So anybody got any pets?
No.
I don't like dogs.
I would get rid of the pets. You'll have enough in your hands.
What are you going to do? Put them down?
No, give them to somebody.
Till the baby's a year.
Until the child is about 18 or 19 years. Then
It depends on the dog, because some dogs are pets and some dogs have the run of the house. By the sounds of it, these dogs have the run of the house.
They're eating cheese sandwiches.
And are not going to take too kindly to somebody else lying on their spot.
Especially with a newborn, so
you have enough.
You can't relax.
it's everything like.
You wouldn't be able to leave the baby downstairs.
You know yourself, you're totally freaked out. Are they okay now? Are they okay now? Like, what's that sound they're making? Like, you're just on red alert all the time, you know. And I'm sure you had it in the last one, waking up in the middle of the night. Are they still breathing?
That's right.
Literally thinking, you're waking up in the middle of the night. It's completely quiet. You're like, is the baby alive?
That's right.
A lot.
Crazy thought, in your head, and you're actually contemplating, what if I go over now and she's not alive? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's isn't it scary?
It's madness. It is madness. Yeah, because by the time the third one comes along, you're like, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, that is absolutely why I feel our third one is so much easier, because with the other two, exactly that, you'd wake up at 2 a.m. and be, what? Usually they wake up at 1:30 for their bottle. Why haven't they woken up?
Yeah.
And then you'd start giving them a little shake to make, and then they're awake again. Whereas this one from about 2 weeks in,
we weren't shaking gently.
A little nudge.
No baby shaking.
No baby shaking. But this one, it was, it's 3:30 and she hasn't woken up. This is great. Let's just go back to sleep.
I know it's not as easy as I would. It's like the nature's design that, and you kind of brought into this thing. Obviously, you're getting your head around it, and so for the first month or so, they don't really do nothing. You just have to change their nappies and feed them, and that's it. And then once you can kind of get your head around it, then they can do a bit more. And it's like a computer game that level 1 is really easy. You just run and jump and hurdles, and then you finish. Yay! Level 2 a bit more difficult. And then as it goes on, but also as you go on, your skills improve. You level up as they level.
You hope so.
You start adding bazookas and swords and
this new jacket that
Sometimes it gets really hard.
That.
Sometimes you just take the computer console and you throw it out the window and you go on the piss.
That doesn't really happen anymore.
No,
They're going in the piss. Okay, so the next one is from Hardy. We'll just call you Hardy for now. Hi, gents, love the pod. As does my wife. It has made us realise that we are either A, not bad parents, or B, not the only bad parents. I suspect it's a bit more from column B than column A. I've gradually started to hate my own voice, repeating the same things to my daughter day in, day out for 6 years. Please eat the veg. Don't kick the dog. Does your coat belong on the floor? etc. So last week I snapped and turned the tables. I wrote, Dad, can you turn on the light on a page and made her say it 70 times. I then asked her how much fun it was saying the same crap over and over and over and over. And through the tears, she said, no fun. Since then, if we have to repeat the usual requests, I make her say it 10 times. And there's been a massive improvement in listening. It's only a matter of time before she twigs she should just refuse to say it and I'll have to up the ante, behead one of her dolls or something. In the meantime, I'll enjoy my passive aggressiveness and her minor improvement. Give it a try. Yours, waiting for social services, Carl. Come on, Carl. That's like fairly hardcore shit.
Did you not start off that email with, we'll just call you Hardy for now? At the end of it.
And the first email you said anonymous. You started with anonymous, like, they're all getting exposed.
That sounds like quite a good plan.
I mean, it's quite hardcore, 70 times.
I think it sounds like some version of mental abuse, though, no? Like, she's had a mild improvement, but I've had to put her through this process that she's ended up crying about.
Yeah, so she's crying once. They're crying all the time. I mean, it's not like... She's not going to remember this one instance of crying over all the others. Remember that time you made me say that thing 70 times? Yeah, but you became an excellent learner. You're now far more emotionally intelligent as a result of it. Or you hate me. Could go either way.
How much do you think your kids are going to remember this time when you're doing everything, literally everything for them?
No.
Good, very good.
No, I'm saying, like, especially like with our first one, like it was done like everything, like we had done so much, like, everything was organic and everything is, and everything was like,
yeah,
they're gonna remember zero this, like, just like,
yeah. Part of me actually hopes that they have their kids really young, so I'm still alive to go, well, now you see all the shit that we have to do.
There's also the other side of that I was thinking about the other day. All that, right, not to get overly positive about things, but the lovely moments you have with your children when they're that age, like even with our eldest fella who's 2, fairly regular lovely moments that you have that you're like, oh, this is like a life-affirming sort of moment that he will not have a bull's notion about. Because, like,
maybe
what's your first memory when you're like 4, 5, 6?
Yeah.
More? Like,
I've got 7, definitely got 7. Got some from
7 full
well,
years.
You remember the warm, fuzzy feeling of the
home is a safe place.
The environment, yeah.
Yeah, you do. You kind of builds who you are, isn't it? You have that kind of security.
Yeah, this is
That's what they need, isn't it?
These are the foundations that you're putting down now. Yeah. I mean, you could still screw it up at any point.
I was wondering
25.
this morning because yet again, getting them to school was absolute chaos. Like, is it chaos in your house every morning? Getting the kids to school?
Well, so I'm in
you're
at 7. But it is absolute chaos, yeah.
Like the anger levels.
Pretty high, yeah.
Oh my God.
What about the kids?
What age is your kids?
7, 4 and 3 in a month. So everybody has to go, basically.
Yeah. Different like...
different locations. The wrong direction for where my wife is going to, through bad traffic at various stages, so not ideal. But
we thought we'd made a slight improvement after
my sister
Christmas.
comes and helps, actually. If she didn't, we'd be dead.
We started getting them to put their clothes on in their room before they came downstairs.
Yeah.
So at least that was done. But now they're kind of getting a bit lazy again. Come in this morning, like, throw their socks at us. Put on my socks.
No.
I'm like, no. And then there's this standoff for 10 minutes as the clock is ticking. I'm like, just put on your... I don't curse in front of them where possible. I'm like, just put on the bloody socks. And I haven't even got out of my room yet, and I'm as angry as I'm going to be all day.
How old are you?
7 and 5.
Yeah.
So they're both going to school.
Your daughter's about 16 months?
No, it's only 6 months.
Yeah, it's really recent.
Then they go downstairs. They have the bloody Pokemon cards that they will not... I'm like, eat your bloody Weetabix. I just want to swap 2 Give me the bloody Pokemon cards. And now you see I've gone so far, I've done a good month of, I'm going to throw these Pokemon cards in the bin.
And
I've never thrown them out yet.
Yeah.
And I can't really throw them out because
you can't.
It will be a...
So you totally can.
You can't.
You put a bag in the bin, you throw them in the bin, you put a clean bag in the bin, you put them in the clean bag in the bin, and you say, that's it, it's done. It's over.
And then what happens?
Well, then there's...
You give them back at some point.
At some point, yeah. Like, at some point. But it depends. You've got to hold your nerve for a little while. I have a black sack that if there's any toys on the floor, everything goes in the black sack and then that gets thrown out. But it's in the black sack, so it's grand. I bring it back in and go, oh. So now it's like, don't put everything in the black sack. Oh, I'm getting the black sack. But then actually, it was like 2 nights of mayhem, and now it's kind of fine. it's going to last another 3 weeks before they're also realising, like...
This black sack seems to come back on a regular basis.
It's the thing, like, they're always testing you, isn't it? Like, our daughter's 19 months now, so she's just, she's clever. And she's just starting to test us, what she can get away with. She knows how to play. My wife would be more the disciplinarian in the house.
Would she, yeah?
Yeah,
right.
small, so, and I'm just like, she knows she can get her way around me,
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a hard one, isn't it?
Did you expect that to be the case before she arrived? Were you thinking...
I think, and I know this is probably not the right thing to say, but because she's a girl, I think I'm a lot softer.
Yeah.
I think she's
You're wrapped around her finger.
Exactly, yeah. But it's hard. It's a hard one to balance. Like, what battles do you pick your battles, isn't it? And what ones do you pick? And what ones do you?
The sleep one is the one that you have to pick.
Oh yeah.
Did you do the cry it out, or did you have to?
No, my wife just won't ever let her cry out. So even though I was like, just go down to your mother's and sleep a couple of nights there, and I'll do it. Like,
yeah.
Like we had the worst. Like probably we made every mistake you can make in terms of like feeding to sleep. My wife breastfed like for a long period, like for a long time, probably longer than she should have. But like she was feeding, we would feed the baby to sleep, and then when to stop breastfeeding, I would bottle feed the baby. And then like my wife's like, I can't do it anymore. I can't get up in the middle of the night without feed her. So the only way I would get to sleep was I would rock her to sleep. So I would have her like here, and I'd be like squatting up and down. Like I'd be doing like 1,000 something squats before she would actually go to sleep, and then you could put her down, she'd wake straight up, So
right.
And like we just made everything where she became totally dependent on us to sleep, and like we were at a breaking point. This was like 16 months of our life.
Yeah,
and
it's mad.
like,
You're like
mad.
strung out.
It was
Can't
mad.
remember
Like,
anything.
the stress and it puts on your relationship and just everything else. And we actually got Lucy Wolfe. Do you know who Lucy Wolfe is? She's like a sleep consultant for babies, and she's based in Cork. And like we got in touch with her, and you work with her over Skype. And she has a book, and I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend it. She kind of takes you through, and she takes you through it step by step and gives you a strategy. You give her a sleep diary, a couple of weeks, and then she'll devise an individual strategy. And one thing is she gives you confidence, and she gives you, you can kind of support with the sleep and telling you what to do if you make mistakes. But also you're kind of pot committed, like you paid her to do it, and then like you've made this, so like I'm going to do it. You kind of where if you're on your own, you kind of just like just
easier to
just fold a little bit, and especially if they're crying, like. And
did it solve things?
It did, yeah. Like even like you said, teething and other things. There's always something going on and colds and things that will upset the sleep, but it would definitely put us in a better place.
Is that letting her cry it out then, or is it?
No, they do like a staying support thing where you don't. She has a dinner and her bottle downstairs before bed, and up to bed. Then start to settle the slow routine: bath and pajamas, books, into bed, and then you just leave them, and like you stay beside the cot. And you don't pick them up either, and just like you can touch them and shush them and be there. But no matter how much, unless they get really, really upset, then you pick them up. And then you put them back and then start the whole thing again.
Right.
And that took a lot of work. That was a lot of work. And eventually you work your way out of the room. Like the 1 week you up
like an SAS agent.
No. But that's actually, we live in like, our house is pretty old. We renovated, but the floorboards like creepy floors. And like you just become like, you just know exactly where this, and like this other thing, like I realized very early that like putting socks on when they wake up in the middle of the night, because your feet would stick to the floor, because of the sweat and stuff. It's just like oiling the door, the hinges, making sure they don't creak or make a sound. Like it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Something similar at the minute where he was in a pretty good routine of that sort of stuff, and then you put him down, and he would always whinge, and then but it didn't, depending on how tired he was, sometimes it wouldn't last very long, and then you're grand. Whereas now he won't even let you leave the room. So, but he does that where we put him down, and if I say to him, he starts whinging, and I go, "Oh, it's fine, I'm going to stay." Not a peep. Straight down, puts on, he's got one of these musical teddy bears, puts that on, bit of classical music, very well educated lad, obviously, good background, and listen to a bit of classical music.
How do you stop him becoming a dickhead, Adrian?
Well, with me as his dad,
He's one down that track.
Against the odds, it's all against the odds straight away. But yeah, so as long as like it's pitch dark, music is on, I'm in the room somewhere, almost now never even sort of looks up to see if I'm there.
Yeah.
And then I will do the SAS agent thing at some point, and sort of, depending on what trousers I'm wearing that day, I'm like, I can't wear these trousers anymore. They make too much noise. It's like, but yeah, and then we'll just doze off. But I'm sure that changes too. Like, you probably know if that won't last forever. That'll be, we can knock a couple of months out of that, and then it'll probably be something else. Like, the routine probably isn't the routine forever, really.
I can't remember. It's that whole thing of you blank everything out as you move. But funny enough, we have her probably in that sort of routine. I don't know if it's from experience, but definitely with the first two, like when you're in the middle of it, it is so hard to pause for a minute and go, how can we make this better? Because one night rolls into another night and you just keep doing it and you just want that little bit of sleep. Yeah. And eventually it's 6 months are gone. Yeah, exactly. Whereas this time around, actually, I think we were a lot strict. Like, when I think back to the two lads, if one of them woke up at 2 o'clock, like, probably both of us were up, we'd be bringing him downstairs to feed him into the sitting room, or I might stay up with him till he wakes at 2 o'clock, sitting on the couch beside him in my arm. Whereas with the baby, it was, she would wake up, complete darkness, no phone on, nothing, no kisses, no affection, you're being fed, and straight back into the cot.
Business.
Yes. Yeah. So it seems to have worked so far, but I'm still living in fear of
they because obviously I want her to be independent. I want her to be confident. You know what I mean? I wanted to have good sleeps. You know what I mean? So the more you kind of pander to them, the more you hinder them as well, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, no, totally. And that's it's finding that balance. But
true.
We had 2 nights in a row for the first time this week where our nearly 3-year-old hasn't either come into us or been crying in the night. And that's the first time in 3 years.
Wow.
It's been a long road. So you want to get it right as early as you can.
And by waking you in the night, do you mean
coming in? Yeah. We probably let him out. We took the walls down from his cot a bit too early. Well, he was able to climb out anyway. So it was like, do we want him climbing out in the dark and jumping down and banging his head? Maybe in retrospect, yes, would have been the answer. Or do you want him free to stroll out and go, hello?
We've a man in one of those sleeping bags, so it was like, it doesn't matter what he's doing, he ain't getting out of that cottage.
Yeah, well, he was getting in with us up until about, it was probably about 2 months ago at this point where we just said no, and then keep bringing him back, and he gets less and less interested in the middle of the night stuff. So, and we did actually take, was it Enda Lynch who texted us about the grow clock. It's been a mild success so far. We've only had it this week.
What was the grow clock?
So the light comes on at whatever time you fix it, and it's like, it's morning time now, and you've got to stay in bed until the sunshine. So it's dark. So it's a clock that has stars on it, which you can't see in the dark, so it doesn't shine. And then at like 7:05 or whatever time everybody needs to get up in the morning, it turns to sun. And so he was up a minute before it this morning, and he was like, don't give it to some other boy and girl. And we're like, But that's the, it's like, we've given you this thing, but we'll take it away. And it's like, you can get it for 15 quid, so it's worth the risk at this stage.
Our middle lad got an alarm clock from Santa. That's all he wanted, was an alarm clock. So we had the same thing. It's like, you can't get up till the alarm clock goes off. But he's only had it 3 weeks and already he's pretty much able to knock it off without waking up. So it goes off at 7:30. We all hear it. His older brother above him in the bunk bed hears it, and he just whacks it off. It's actually like, Charlie, if you get up. No, the alarm hasn't gone off yet.
Do they start doing that where like they don't want to get up out of bed?
Hopefully soon. Must be 12 or 13, is it?
Well, they don't want to get up on weekdays for school.
Weekends.
Weekends, they're like, bing. I'm up.
Yeah, but they're confused because they don't understand weekday versus weekend.
Oh, they do, and they're going to
5 days of the week you're saying, get up, and then they're probably in a routine by the time the Saturday comes around, and then you're like, no, stay in bed now.
I think there's definitely we're in school, we're not in school, we've got the freedom of the house. Woo! And mum and dad are going to be around for the whole day. Okay, so I did Hardy, did I? Waiting for the social services. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty hardcore, making your daughter say, can you turn on the lights 70 times?
Yeah, I think that's too much.
It's a unique approach.
I mean, not to make him feel bad about it, but...
I would say a lot of people are going,
working.
Yes. I don't think it's that traumatic. Okay, so this one is just from V. Hey guys, love the show. I have 2 kids. My daughter just turned 3, son 9 months. Irish twins. Oftentimes, you talk about asking your kids to say sorry, and then you follow up by saying, to what end?
What was the
Judgment right there.
Yeah, feel the pain. Personally, I always ask my daughter to say what she's sorry for and why, and I think it's more effective for us, certainly. Also, we're constantly going on about emotions and how she or we feel when the other does something, to the point that even when I'm cross, she'll ask, "Are you a little happy?" And that softens anything prior, usually. With respect to lying, she gets caught once in a while, and I find saying, "I'm not going to get cross about whatever," works a treat. Also, reminding her that she can tell us anything helps. I've never talked as much in my life to an individual as I have with my kids, 9-month-old included. Any weird stories that your kids tell you, make up a bedtime? Maybe a topic for another episode. Keep up the good work, says V. So that's how not to get angry, by telling them you're not getting angry. I'm not going to get angry, Charlie, but put your own fucking socks on.
Inside you're seething.
But
Why are you so red, Daddy? What's that steam coming out your ears? You were not there when the emailer was talking about talking to your kids. That's obviously a thing for you, is it? No, for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think you just talk to them, don't you?
Like just sort of ramble chat, or
yeah,
like,
and like try not to do too many baby voices when they are babies. You know, like she's not a baby now, so and she can understand everything. You know, so it's like and they're so much more in tune than you think. You know, than you give them credit for, and especially like if there's ever like you and your wife are having an argument, or not even an argument, just having you know, it's like she'd be like, "Dad, Mom,"
would she? Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, wow. She just knows something's not right. It's not like if I'm saying, "You do that," "No, I did that," "No, I didn't," and they're like, you know, whatever it may be.
It's funny,
they're so in tune.
We were chatting about that a couple of weeks ago, that that idea of like having a row, or just the usual conversation that you have with your wife, and then when the kids are listening, how you have to alter that
it's hard, isn't it?
when they start to understand that. Oh, what's that about?
We speak in Irish.
Yeah,
it's handy.
It's like the...
Do your kids go to Irish school?
No. So it's like a secret language to them for now.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, just French, so I'm brushing up with my French a bit as well. I was like,
Adrian has the opposite problem, where his kid and his wife speak Chinese to each other, and he doesn't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely true.
The boy speaking Chinese.
Yeah. Well, they say when they come from bilingual backgrounds that it actually takes them longer to speak. Okay. So he says stuff, but not probably as much maybe as a typical child of that age. But he can understand everything. Like he understands both languages, sort of.
I mean, in the long run, it's a massive win.
It's great, yeah. And I know how to say like sleep, and I've got like 10 words that are good, Nathan. So screw you.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Fangao is sleep. Cha-cha is sit. Go is let's go.
I just have this great feeling that your wife is taking the piss out of you, and that's not what that means at all. And every time you go to her house for Christmas, they're all laughing at you.
Peen is nappy. There's loads of stuff there.
Is it?
Is it really?
Is it?
What's the craziest story your kids have told you?
I don't know. Mine. We make up stories every night at bedtime, so it's kind of. It's
always something new, isn't it? Something like you have to be inventive. Sometimes you surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Like when you're at your worst, you'll just find something that you'll just do the trick, you know, and like to get him asleep, or to get him happy, to pacify them into like crying. You will find something like that. You can be very, very resourceful at times.
Yeah, but I've got to have the same cast of characters every night in the story. It's like,
who's the
Batman and Robin? So one of my children is called Robin, so she insists on having Batman and Robin.
Great.
Batman and Robin go skiing and go shopping and stuff.
No, they like save the world every night.
Right.
Yeah. Against the cast of characters that are completely made up. That rhyme.
When are you going to do a children's book and
I don't know, and cash in?
Make your money and get the hell out of here.
Cash in on my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great, wouldn't it? That wouldn't result in any kind of, begrudgery later on down there. Where did all the money that you got from the stories that you... where did that go to?
Or copyright issues with Disney or whoever it was that made Batman and Robin.
DC Comics, I think, yeah. Yeah. Do you have what's your bedtime routine stories?
At the minute, it's a friend of ours a couple of weeks ago. It changes again, so there's like different books. At the minute, it's I don't know if you know this guy, George, not Peppa and George.
Curious George.
No, it's just like it's. I must find out who the author is, but it's just this sort of basic book that's got very few words in it. That ultimately George is a dog, and Con is mad about George, and he was mad about George from Peppa to begin with, he calls Go. And so George and his owner Harris, who's Ha, and there's these little stories about George who was left at home on his own, and he's told Harris he's going to be a very good dog when Harris goes off. But unfortunately, George goes against himself. He eats cake, yeah.
He digs the flowers.
Exactly, that's the guy. That's the guy. And he loves it. And like, you go through it each one, and you go, "What's that cake? What's that bottle?" And you go through each of the thing, and so that's it. And then we do that, and then there's a routine of songs that sort of changes from time to time. At the minute, it's "Go Lassie Go," and he wants to hear, instead of "Go Lassie Go," he wants to hear "Go Baby Go," because he calls it the baby. And there's little bits and pieces, and then away he goes, and he's delighted with life. But it changes. Like, the book can be whatever. I might get him more of those books, actually. He seems to enjoy those ones.
I had to learn Edelweiss. That was the song that worked for...
Give us a bar.
I won't.
For those who aren't familiar.
Who's not familiar with Edelweiss?
Nathan!
I know. He's like trying to get me to sing.
I know.
Christ.
Yeah, that was... I got good at it after 7 years.
The yodeling. Is there not yodeling in Edelweiss?
A bit of it. It's not really.
Did you do that?
No. Yeah.
It's the most exciting song in the world.
No, it's really not.
But it's probably good for bedtime, though, is it? Like,
well, I'm just wondering. Some of it, there's kind of a bang of white supremacy off it.
Not great at any time of the day.
Worried about your daughter.
That's right, when you see her wearing Hitler uniforms.
My fault, surreptitiously, yeah. But I might
It's from The Sound of Music, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not. It's the goodies of The Sound of Music.
It's surprisingly.
Are Austrian after all, so who knows? I mean, but like, you will do anything to get them to sleep. It's clearly frequently the wrong thing. Like, certainly that whole singing.
It's a balance, though, because you don't want to stimulate them too much. Like, when they're too exciting, you kind of have to be hushed down. You have to be like.
Do you sing? Do you?
I sing, yeah. I realise that doing all that at this point now, where you're just better off to get in there and just put it down to bed and just be like, shh, and just like be quiet. Like, I know it was a big no, don't let her hold your finger, but now she'll hold my finger when she's falling asleep, and it's nice for me as well.
Yeah, lovely.
But no, we were in the park the other day, and like, there's a climbing frame, and she went up right to the top of it, and then there's a rope bridge kind of thing, mesh, and she kind of fell down, and the shoe came off. And so I went up there, got her, we went down the big slide together, and then we looked all over for the shoe. We asked people who had the shoe, and then the little boy had buried the shoe. Right? And this is the story, she loves hearing the story now. We tell no, Dad and Julie were in the park, and she was climbing up so high. This is she just loves it.
That's great.
Shoe.
yeah.
That's what,
What a little prick. The guy that buried the shoe. What was he doing? Well, he stole the shoe.
So we were up high, and then it took us a minute to get down because we were chatting away, and I was like, it's okay, we'll go find it, and we come down and then he just buried it amongst the wood chips, That's what a kid would do,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Did having a kid at the time that you were retiring, did that all feed into was that all part of the...
Yeah, I don't think I could fight now. And it would be hard, especially when all that, like, was definitely like a hands-on parent. I would have to be like totally separated, from
Imagine going away for 8 weeks.
I know, yeah.
To, like, train.
Just emotionally, you're a softer person, I think.
I have not been able to watch a horror movie or see somebody get shot properly. I mean, even we're rewatching The Sopranos again, and it's like, oh my God, it's so violent and grim. And whereas before, like, oh, what a great death scene that was.
It definitely softens you.
Yeah,
but it's like, I don't.
Dave was talking about cry. He watches a lot of movies and cries all the time.
You cry at anything, yeah.
The ads.
It's mad. It's
a lot of ads. I'm like,
I'm a celebrity.
Yeah.
Imagine for like 6 or 8 weeks going away from your children to go off to some
World
sort
Cup,
of
Rugby World Cup.
Nathan went off to the Euros.
The Euros. Actually, I went to the Euros too. That was fine. But I only went for 2 weeks.
Well, I've forgotten. I'm going to out him on this. Well, he's spoken about it himself. When we went to Euro 2012, were you at Euro 2012?
Yeah.
I shared an apartment with Dermot and Dave of Dermot and Dave fame, and I'm fairly sure Dave's wife was due the day we landed in Poland.
Whoa! We must get him in to explain himself.
Literally.
Did he miss it?
No, I think somehow he managed... luckily, Ireland were terrible, and he managed to get home before the baby was born.
Always overrun.
Like, bloody hell. Unbelievable.
If you're wrong on your dates, you've just completely libeled him there. But that's
No. I'm fairly sure I heard him talk about this on air recently.
I'm pretty sure.
Let's just ring upstairs.
It's all great libel to start off with.
Yeah, because there's loads of people in football. Alex Ferguson always wanted his players to settle down and have kids, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in your early 20s you don't really. It doesn't soften you as much. But I don't know how you could go and be a fighter.
No, you need a lot of support as well, and your wife would need a lot of support. I think you're definitely in it together. I don't know. It would be hard to be away from them, and it'd be hard just to, to have that same killer instinct. I think as well.
Yeah,
become more emotional.
Like in some ways, you could say it motivates you because you're doing it for your kids and you want to secure their future or do all that. But just the way circumstances happened with me came at the end of my career, and that was always the plan anyway. That. While I was boxing and traveling, it wasn't going to happen, so. But that's the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Like, who was the fighter that said he watched? Is Southpaw the name of the movie with
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, no.
Journeyman.
Journeyman. Yeah. There was a fighter who watched that and retired.
Yeah, that was me. That was a brutal film. Like when I watched it, I was like, I'm so happy to be out of the game, and it was so real to life. And like he has a little girl in it, and like he suffers a brain injury. It's such a real to life portrayal of that kind of circumstance. I think it was an MMA fight. I'm not sure if it was Michael Bisping.
That rings a bell. Yeah,
he watched it on the flight, and when he landed, he said, "My career's over."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a powerful film.
That's good art.
Paddy Considine.
Yeah, that is good art. And the other thing, the timing is very nice as well, where you actually have a bit of time now.
Exactly.
You don't get these years back, and that's the type of shit that, people should tell you. Like, I don't know if we have this conversation before. A person I know in our industry who is kind of coming to the end of his career was like, I don't give advice because I always sound like a wanker, but the one thing I would say is spend more time with your kids, especially when they're young. And it was like, okay, fair enough. That's a good point.
Yeah. But I wonder, how much are they going to remember?
Yeah.
So, you could just tap in at 3 years old, when all the work is done, and you're just like, hey, I'm his dad's here,
when you are there.
Yeah.
We were, when our first was I'd say 2 months, something like that. We happened to be at a funeral down in Killarney. We were walking up the street, sort of country funeral, walking up the street behind the cortege, and this random woman wasn't even at the funeral, was just walking up the street of Killarney, walked up beside us and was looking at it as a baby and started up a conversation. The conversation lasted a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and in it she said, "They're only on loan, remember that." And off she went. Now, sort of a random, maybe means nothing to you thing, but for us, it's totally stayed with us. That actually, it's the one thing that's really resonated on that point of understanding that you're not going to be around babies or kids forever. So enjoy it. It's the one thing that we always come back to.
That is the thing you try. Well, the people tell you, and it doesn't really make it easy when you are suffering with the sleep depression and that it's only going to last a certain amount of time. But when you're in it, it doesn't.
It feels like a life sentence. But then, hopefully you get 3 nights in a row, and then 4 nights in a row, and then suddenly it's like, I remember what we liked all you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that we don't. That's the point. They're all pretty likable at the end of the day, right? They're all kind of class.
At certain stages of the day.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the end of the day or the start of the day.
You're right.
There's sweet points.
When they're throwing their socks at you. That's how much.
Just after they've gone to sleep. Andy, it's been a brilliant debut. Thanks very much for joining us.
Great to be on.
We're here to give you bad advice in future. If you ever don't ask us for advice, we always give the worst advice, by the way. But if you ever want to share any extra stories for us, you're always welcome.
I'll take the 70, repeat this 70 times.
Yeah.
Discard that advice,
I have a new trick.
I'm thinking about it. I'm not going to lie.
I've got to say, I might give it a go.
It's not the worst thing I've ever heard.
It also takes up a lot of time.
Exactly, yeah.
From that point of
putting
view,
in those hours.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, DADCAST at offtheball.com, or you can just use the hashtag DADCAST on Twitter as well. DADCASTpod is the Twitter account if you've got any questions for us. That is this week's episode. We'll see you again next week. Good luck. Thanks very much.